Hi, friends, and welcome back. It is May. It is Foster Care Awareness Month. I took a little bit of a hiatus from making videos, but I am hopefully back. We'll see. My cats always have to act up right as I start filming. May is Foster Care Awareness Month, so I am going to try to do a couple small videos with just quick tips and information about foster care and foster parenting for the month of May. I hope you guys like them. So today I'm just going to do a video about why we need a Foster Care Awareness Month. Like, why do we even have a month dedicated to foster care awareness and why it's important. So if you're interested in that, stick around. But first, if you're new here, my name is Anna Leonora. Together with my husband, Jason, we are foster and adoptive parents in real life. And here on my channel from the Fosters, we do foster parenting and adoptive parenting life together. And we raise awareness for the foster care system. And for foster parenting. So if any of that interests you, please consider liking the video, subscribing to my channel down below. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit your post notification bell, set your notifications to all so that you won't miss when I post any new videos like this. And so you can join my growing cyber family here on YouTube. Why do we need a Foster Care Awareness Month? So it is May. If you're watching this in the future, it's May 2022. And the month of May is Foster Care Awareness Month in the United States of America. Why do we need it? So there's still so many misconceptions about what foster care is and about foster parenting. There's so many stereotypes and so many misconceptions out there. And all of those things harm the children that are involved in this system. And I'll give you an example from my own personal life. Just this week, I had someone commenting on one of my old YouTube videos calling foster parents baby snatchers. And I'm not going to tag the person or say what video it was, because I don't want to draw, any negative attention to that person. I understand that that person has had some negative experiences with the foster care system themselves, and I don't want to, negate the experiences that they have had. But there's this idea out there that foster parents are out here baby snatching and taking kids from other people's families. And that's just not true. It's just not true. Foster parents often don't know anything about these children before they come into foster care. We don't even know that these kids exist. We've never heard their names. We don't know their story, their situation. It's not up to a foster parent whether a child is taken into foster care or not. That is up to the Child Protective Services, Department of Family Services, Health and Human Services, whoever, whatever the department name is in that local county, state, county. That is up to them, and they have laws around when they can and cannot remove a child from a home. And these laws are to prevent baby snatching or unnecessary removal of children. Does unnecessary removal still happen? Sure, I'm sure it does. But there are laws to protect against that. And those laws, at least in my state, are pretty strict. And, these CPS workers can face criminal charges for taking children from their home without sufficient evidence and proof that those children are living in an unsafe situation. But again, that has nothing to do with the foster parents. The foster parents don't even know that this situation exists before that child comes into foster care. Foster parents learn about a situation after a child is taken into foster care for whatever the reasons may be, whatever CPS has determined or found, whatever within the confines of the law. They've removed the child. The first thing is to try to find safe, stable family members, kinship, for that child or those children to go to, because it's better for children to go to people that they know or people they're comfortable with than total strangers. So again, if those children go to kinship, foster families never even know about the kid, right? The children will go to foster parents when there's no other safe, stable living situation identified. And At that point in time, the foster parents become aware of the children, they become aware of the situation. Typically, they're not told everything, they're only told like a high level overview of why the children were removed, if the children have any special needs, things like that. The foster parents then are responsible for caring for these children, loving on them, feeding them, the day-to-day activities, getting them to school, all of the things that it takes to take care of a child and keep a child alive, safe, well, healthy, all of these things. And it is important for the foster parents to develop an attachment to the children, because these children have developed or have experienced trauma, and that trauma can be physical, emotional, it can be a lot of other things. If there was abuse, neglect, it can be a lot of things. But one of the big traumas they experienced is removal from their primary caregiver. That is a trauma. It's a relational trauma. And the only way to heal that trauma is through relationships. It's important for the children to have a good relationship with their foster parents. And it's important for the foster parents to have a good relationship with the children. So attachments are important. But foster parents are taught that the outcomes for children who are able to reunify safely are better than the outcomes of children who have to be adopted out of foster care. And most foster parents do support and understand and accept reunification. Most of them do. I'm not saying all, because I'm sure there are some that don't, but most of them do support reunification. And regardless, it's not up to the foster parent. We're not baby snatchers. I did not get to testify in court for either of my children. In my county, foster parents typically will not testify. They will not be allowed to testify until the trial is already at TPR, which is termination of parental rights. At that point, typically several years into the process, then the court can have the foster family testify. But the foster family testimony is not the main or the only or even a big part of what ends up terminating a parent's rights. The parents are given a plan to work. CPS has to prove that they provided resources and assistance in that family working that plan. CPS has to prove that they did everything they possibly could to help this family work their plan. The family was still unable and is still unable to provide a safe, stable living situation for these children. And that's how rights end up getting terminated. And that's usually several years down the line. Again, foster families, at least in my county, don't testify until it's at that point. And even then, CPS has to prove all these other things before the rights can be terminated. The foster family's testimony usually is not taken into huge regard. You know what I mean? In my county, the only reason they have foster families testify is to talk about the child's current needs, because the foster family is usually the one who's had the child for the last several years, knows what all the child's current needs are, medications, therapies, IEPs, other things like that, that the parents would have to be able to know how to handle and manage all of those things if they were to get their child back. Those are the kinds of things the foster parents testify to. The foster parents do not testify to the parent's ability to be a parent or not be a parent or provide a safe, stable situation for the child, because that's not the foster parent's responsibility. And half the time, the foster parents don't even know what the case plan was and what was and was not worked on that case plan. They don't tell the foster parents these things. But what ends up happening is you get these stereotypes of foster families being baby snatchers when we really have no say. We absolutely have no say about whether a child comes into foster care. And really, we have no say about whether a child stays in foster care, gets reunified, goes to kinship, or gets adopted. We don't have a say in that. But we get this rap that we're baby snatchers, and then people don't want to be foster families. And that damages the foster care system and the foster children, because guess what? These kids end up having to go, when there's no safe, stable home identified for them, and we don't have enough foster families to foster these children, they end up having to go to places like group homes, which are not always a bad thing, but in some cases not appropriate for particular children. Some children, even I've heard of, there's a girl on TikTok, and you'll have to excuse me, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Sorry, this is Norman. He's currently biting my leg. There's a girl on TikTok, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but if I find her, I'll tag her information down below. She talked about a time where she had to go, it was either her or someone she knew, had to go to juvenile detention, because there was nowhere else for her to go as a teenage foster child that had no open foster home that could take her and no kinship that could take her, and she couldn't go home because it wasn't safe. She had to go to juvie because at least there she's fed and housed. You know what I mean? But like, she didn't do anything to deserve to be in juvie, and now that's on her record because it's where she was residing, but she didn't do it. It's just so damaging when these children have already been through so much trauma to now have to put them in a situation where, like, we're going to take you from your home, but we have nowhere to send you. So we're going to send you to juvie or a group home, or you're going to have to sleep on the CPS worker's office floor for a while until we can find you a home. It's so damaging. It's so degrading. And that's what happens when you don't have enough foster families. So to try to continue to perpetuate these stereotypes that just are not true or outdated or whatever, it's damaging to the system as a whole. And who gets hurt in the process are the children. So that's why we need a foster care awareness month. We need more light shed on what the foster care system really is, what they're really doing, what foster parents really do, the role that they play in this whole system. And I'm not saying that the system's not broken. The system doesn't need reform, because 100% the system's broken. The system needs reform. But we have to break down these stereotypes that foster parents are a certain way or a certain type of person, or that they're baby snatching this, that, or the other, because that's just not true. Children come into foster care for reasons of abuse and neglect. There has to be a standard, and the actual legal standard is different for every state, but there's a standard that has to be met and proven that these children have been abused or neglected to a certain degree. It's not even just like a little bit of an abuse or a little bit of neglect. It has to be significant, repeated abuse and neglect, and it has to be documented before these children ever come into foster care, and the foster parents have nothing to do with any of that. The foster parents also have nothing to do with whether the parents work their plan or not. They have nothing to do with providing resources for the bio parents. That's all CPS, the department, the system. And again, foster parents, at least in my area, never testify. We don't testify. Or if we do testify, it's about the child and the child's needs. We don't testify about the parents themselves, because that's not our job. So foster parents can't be baby snatchers. There's legally no way for them to do it unless they were to actually go out and kidnap a child, in which case that is kidnapping, and they will go to jail and they will not be foster families anymore. So I hope that you guys know that these stereotypes, they're just not true. I'm not saying that every foster family is perfect, that every county and foster system is perfect, because that is also just not true. There's bad everywhere, in every corner, every profession, every system, and the foster care system certainly does need reform. There's a lot of change that needs to happen, but we do need to break down these stereotypes. We need to have these conversations. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to try to open the door, let you guys see what a real foster family is like, and what real foster experiences are like, because that's how we're going to get more people involved in this system. We're going to raise more awareness. We're going to bring more voices together to lead to change and reform. We're going to get more families agreeing to be foster families, or agreeing to help foster families, or help foster children in some way. That's what we need, because it's about the children. For example, if you were to say something about a foster family being baby snatchers in front of a child who has grown an attachment to their foster family, loves their foster family, maybe who was experiencing extreme abuse in the home that they were in prior to their foster family, that can't feel good for that child. And when you also make these inferences and perpetuate these stereotypes, people who potentially could be very good foster families and very good safe havens for these children might be persuaded not to do it. And we need more families, not less, because these children don't deserve some of the situations that they have to be in when they come into foster care and there's not enough homes for them. So let's just continue to break down the stereotypes. Let's continue to have these conversations. I never want to negate somebody's negative experience with the foster care system because, again, it's not perfect. It needs reform. There are bad out there, bad social workers, bad foster families, bad judges, I'm sure even. They exist. I'm not saying they don't exist, but they're not the norm. And we can't perpetuate the stereotypes, making them out to be the norm, because you're just harming the children. I hope you guys are excited as I am for Foster Care Awareness Month. Again, I'm going to try to do a couple short videos on different things. We're going to be talking about a lot of different topics. I'm going to try to keep them all mostly short. I know this one was a little bit longer because it's my first one of the month and it's my first one back in a while. But I hope to see a lot of you all this month, and I hope you all continue to do your research and raise awareness with me. And as always, if you have any questions, leave them down below, or you can go follow me on my Instagram at From the Fosters. You can always, my DMs are open. You can always send me questions and stuff there. Otherwise, I love you guys, and I hope you go out and continue to shine your light into the world. Until next time, I love you. Bye.